What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today we're going to be doing the disassembly and maintenance of the Towser K. Let's get into it. What I recommend for this disassembly is a good set of Weeha bit and tools. Those are linked down in the description. And if you like some fancy drivers, those will be down there too. I have the Scout and the Griffin linked down there now for your enjoyment. So you'll need T6 to get rid of the lower hardware, T8 for the upper hardware. We should be able to leave, well, let's see. Oh, I got the T8 there. Let's see if we need to take at least the top screw out for the hardware. Normally I leave the pocket clip on, doesn't really need to come off. If you're okay with disassembling everything from the pocket clip side or the non-show side, they usually come apart very easily. This mat is linked down below. It has little magnet pockets over here that really make disassembling this so much easier, and it does look like you at least need to remove the top pocket clip screw. So I'm going to put that in the second magnet hole so I don't lose track of that. I'm going to move the little stubby bit driver out of the way, and we are going to grab the stubby bit driver because apparently this was cranked in here. There we go. That's why I always like to keep the stubby bit driver around, just in case you ran into something that was over tightened unnecessarily, or perhaps it has no red Loctite. We'll go ahead and set that aside. There you go. You did not need to remove that pocket clip screw, and we're going to reinstall it so I don't lose it. One less thing that I need to keep track of for, whoops, hard to do with the gloves on. I'm going to put it back because it's just easier to keep track of. I saw it in the body and I was not thinking when I saw it. Not sure why I thought this needed to come out, because it was not connected to any of the standoffs. So unless you want to clean under the scale, in this instance they put a lot of oil on here. I'm not quite sure why they did that, but we're going to go ahead and clean everything up and install my own oil. This has the multi-row bearings on nylon washers, which is fantastic. Love to see it. Man, they put a lot of oil in here. I'm not quite sure why they put so much oil on there. It does not need a detent tune or anything like that, so we should be good to go. That's weird. The whole scale is moving. You know what? I am going to take this scale off. I'm going to clean some of the oil out off the micarta and see if I can get it back to that lighter color blue, because I do like that. So I apologize. We're going to go right back and remove the pocket clip. Oof. What is happening here? There we go. And then what we'll do, since we have the pivot off, we'll take the hardware off and clean the other side, because it seems like there's an unnecessary amount of oil on this scale. So I am going to just try my best to dry it down a little bit and see if that works. And then what I'll also do to try to help dry it out is hit it with a little rubbing alcohol. See if that does anything. See if that'll dry any of the oil that is down in the micarta out, because I really like the color that it came with, and sometimes this rubbing alcohol will go down into the scale and help dry it out. So let's hope, because it's a really pretty color. And I mean, you can, if it doesn't work, you can always just grab you some mineral oil and let the mineral oil do its thing. But I'm just going to go ahead, wipe off the excess rubbing alcohol and set it aside for a second, and then grab my dry cloth and finish cleaning the scale off, because it has oil on the outside. I'm going to clean my multi-row bearings and get any dirt, debris off of that. And then by the time I'm done here, my Towser K, which my wife thinks the name is just kind of silly, will be nice and clean and ready to go. Clean up all the connection spots, clean the blade off. Clean down in the pivot, detent hole. That is all cleaned. I'm going to finish cleaning before I spray this one, but I'm going to go ahead and take the pivot off, and I'm going to go ahead and take the standoffs off so I can clean this micarta scale as well. They are on there tight. This is where small pliers, instead of large ones like what I keep out here in the garage, whoops, will come in very handy. I'm trying not to squeeze too hard, but just I need enough grip here to break these loose, and then I should be able to have enough finger strength afterwards to get them off by hand. So at least you can kind of see how I approach things when I get stuck at certain spots. I think that is always good for everyone to see, but these are loose enough now to where by finger you should be able to remove these without any further issues. There we go. I'm gonna put that inside the little parts bin. I just like to keep track of what side it comes out of, just to make sure I don't have any issues in future. Putting it all back, it'll all go back together nicely. We'll clean that scale here in a second. Actually, since the scale just needs to be dried down, let's do the scale first. And then I will show you how I go about putting the proper amount of lube. And it doesn't look like these have washers. They just have hardened steel liners that those bearings are riding on. So that is interesting. Very interesting. I'll come back and clean that pivot in 1 second. I want to try to just knock the oil off of these scales. You can see how it's kind of discoloring it. And if it's going to patina, I'd rather it happen naturally as opposed to, you know, forcing these, because I really do kind of like their natural colors. So hopefully I've put enough rubbing alcohol on here to dry out any surface oils, and I've left enough on to perhaps knock them off the scales and dry them out from the scales. But we will check these in 1 second. I am going to get everything ready for reassembly. All right, pivot. I said I was going to check the pivot out. So the pivot was on the show side. So we'll want to make sure that we put that back together. I'm trying to see if the show side, yeah, the show side is D'd and the non-show side is not. Somebody might have flipped that because that's not quite normal. So looking at this one, looks pretty good. Looks like the oil's gone. This one might need a little bit more rubbing alcohol, so I'm just going to wipe it a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall it, and we should be good to go. I should have, yeah, just enough left on my towel to get this pretty dry, and the rubbing alcohol should dry to the touch, and that way I can get it back looking factory. And hopefully these videos where, you know, I pick up knives on the secondhand market really help people that are interested in a knife and maybe don't want to spend full price. And you can see exactly how these can be cleaned up or refurbished so that they're in like new condition, and you don't have to worry about, you know, unless it's blade damage or there's something really significantly wrong with the knife. But as far as getting it yourself, properly cleaning it, all right, that's on there all the way. We might need to wait till we get this back together all the way. to cinch those down a little bit more. Whoa. Sorry. I can't really feel that great with these gloves, so sometimes I lose track of my hardware. So let's reinstall this one. Okay, that should be good. I don't need to over tighten them. I just need them snug. Okay. That actually was a little tight. Now the D-shaped pivot looks like it's going to face the back of the knife. I apologize. I was looking through the side of the camera. There we go. So just work it in. Hold on. Oh yeah, I totally had that facing the wrong way. There we go. And then make sure you got your standoffs and your stop pin, everything ready to go. What you can do now is, instead of putting it on the body, which is going to leak back onto the paper micarta, is just put your lube directly on your bearings and work them in. And then set your bearings back on the knife, and then just put a little bit on the pivot. All right, and then grab your blade and put your blade back in place. Drop a little bit of lube right in front of your detent ball hole, and then same thing with the next one. Go ahead and work the lube in by hand. Drop that down. This has a very polished pivot, so you really shouldn't need to do anything else. And the action being so smooth, I could really tell that it was. So I put the lube on the detent ball. It should be good to go. Lift up on your liner lock and try to cinch everything down. Something is, there we go, not sitting well. There we go. And then once that has been sat down, make sure I don't have any oil that fell off of the scale or off my hand onto the scale. Grab your pivot screw first. Go ahead and cinch that down by hand. And once you feel it like meet resistance, just stop. You can center it up later. Go ahead and grab your body screw. You can take that one down until it stops spinning. With these types of bearings, it should not be hard to center. They have amazing pivot support, being that they're multi-row. It almost has constant pressures because the balls touch where it's offset. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pocket clip and go ahead and put it back. I like the lower two holes, but if you want, this is a great time for you to move it up. If you would like it to be ultra deep carry, that is up to you. All right, I'm not going to tighten it all the way so I can move it around to make sure that the second hole is lined up. I'm going to go ahead and install that one. And then go ahead and snug these up. You do not need to over tighten any of these. That's a lot of hardware to hold the knife still. Let's check the centering real quick and then we'll tighten everything up. Perfectly centered. Do I have any blade play? A little bit of blade play. Let's go ahead and tighten this down a little bit more until the blade play goes away. All right. Just a hint left. Let me make sure it's not rocking. All right, just a hint more. All gone. Buttery smooth control. And favoring the right just a little bit, so let me just back it out just a hair. Okay. Perfectly centered. Minimal wobble. Very drop shut. Let me try to tighten up, just snug up the rest of the hardware and see if that helps with any pivot play, because sometimes these being loose allows for a blade, whoops, this heavy to flex. And that can lead to a little bit of blade play, and everything feels snug. Just a hint of blade play left. I'm going to swap to the stubby, which will give me a better feel of control. Okay. perfectly centered. No blade play. Might have been a little bit. Let me see. No blade play. Drop shut action. Perfectly centered. And all my oil slicks on my micarta scales are gone. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, be sure to leave a like. Consider leaving a like. I'd love the support. Thanks to everyone out there that regularly leaves the likes, supports through comments and watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.